plus Ezreal, right? So in this instance, BLG can pick a top lane. You can go for the Mbessa flex. You probably are going to be looking towards jungle with this Pantheon hover. And now AL, you get your pick of the litter. This is a good takeaway from Tarzan, as it's been his best champion by far here this season, but there are so many different options. You can pick up the Azir here for Shanks if you really are feeling it. You can also go for another bot lane pair if you feel like that is something that's going to give you some strength.
I'm curious, because Hope is one of the most consistent Corki players, I would say. Nice timing. Thanks, man. All right, well, we talked a little bit about Ashe Melio kind of working its way in, but Lucian Melio, this is Lucian's new bay, everybody, because Nami has left him for Corki, so Lucian Melio now the premier duo for Lucian there in the bot side.
I don't know if we want to use Bay for this one. Melio's a kid. Melio's a teenager.
Partner. Good call. Thanks.
There you go.
Partner.
We're going to
partner
get Slayer caught on this show.
Lucian's Batman, and that's Robin. There you go.
There you go. That's good. I like this. I like this a lot more.
I like segueing off of this topic to talk about the Mbessa getting locked in here for Bin, and Knight going towards the Annie. So we've rounded out the BLG top side.
Yeah, okay. I'm a little afraid of Annie. I have not been the biggest fan of this champion, and when you see Emilio, who has a team-wide cleanse, not my favorite. Not my favorite. So could just be that we're looking for a solid enough blind. Also, some of the other champions we've been seeing kind of pop up. Doesn't seem like they want to have that. You're going to see Pantheon on the other side. You're going to see Mbessa, and we're going to pick Nocturne. We do not know what our side lanes are yet as anyone's Legends, and I think that is going to be significantly more important here. Why are we doing? Who's going to pick Sylas? You know, Slayer, when I see this draft, I think that Nocturne is really strong because he gets to basically go to side lanes and kill an Annie or kill an Mbessa, which less likely it's going to be the Mbessa that's going to be getting taken down. But I think this is going to need a draft where anyone's Legends solo lanes are really strong. And that, Shanks we've seen, Flandre we have not.
Without a doubt. So my question to you is, what bans do you want to see from BLG to kind of, you know, lower the power of those solo lanes? The Rek'Sai, a classic for Flandre, but who do you want to see target next here to try and maybe take down to the power of this Nocturne's side lane flankability?
Probably you want to get rid of Yorick. I think Yorick has a lot of great ways of interacting positively versus BLG's composition.
Flandre, one of our better Yoriks for sure, too.
Yeah, there's also Cassante, which can be a neutralizer, but pair that alongside a Nocturne, and once he goes all out, that could become super messy to play against. Rumble is banned, which has kind of been some of the answers we've seen. Could also just very plainly be a Scion, right? Like, play Scion, play that so that you have another lane that Mbessa is going to be neutralized. A good ban coming in from BLG. So what is that going to be? And then for BLG, what is our bot lane pair going to be? Because Lulu and Corki now taken, do cut away at some of the other champions that we might be looking for.
This will be, you know, an interesting spot to have that Ashe conversation because I do...
No, don't get baited by hovers. Keep it moving. Oh, Flandre on Vayne.
Flandre on Vayne. All right. Well, that's a strong solo lane early.
Okay. I'm
also worried about Flandre playing it. Don't worry. We're in the same boat here, all.
We are going to be seeing Vayne, Lucian, Melio into Annie, Pantheon, Mbessa. This is a tricky composition. If we thought that BLG were very execution-based in that game number 1, AL are going to have to play a game that is on the thinnest of margins. If they mess up in a mid-game scenario, if they get ahead early and then mess up, that's the game all by itself.
Knight, brother, you are the only one that's getting ulted all game, man. The Xayah, the rare Xayah does come out here, but I like it. Lovers Duo has been out of the spotlight for a while in drafts. Anytime you see this into a you see a Nocturne, 80 carry players, what's the safest way to avoid this chaos? Well, that would be Featherstorm. So I do like this for Viper in that aspect. What the hell does Shanks want to do, though?
Ooh. We are going to go for the neutralizer. I like the tanks. Look, play to side lanes. Galio can go alongside and match the Nocturne. Part of me wants to see Flandre with Lucian because for all of our long-time LPL enjoyers, he was one of our first Lucian tops long time ago. But Vayne into Mbessa can be very good, and Mbessa's lane can be a bit tricky. So I like the options. I'm just very scared because we saw AL struggle around big objectives as we went further into that game 1.
Oh, the reason I feel like this draft is super stinky is because we are putting all of our eggs in the double marksman damage basket, which is fine. They're also two of the shortest ranged AD carries we've got here. This composition for AL is going to stay super bunched up, except for a Vayne trying to, flank around this fight. And you're going into a Xayah that throws down a bunch of feathers. You're going into Annie that can get a huge multi-Timberman play. The Emilio's there, I know, but yeah, we are relying once again on two players in Flandre and Hope, who I feel like have really struggled to meet the median bar of their respective roles so far this year. And if you thought game 1 they were being relied on to win for AL, they really are in this game too.
This will be Flandre's first ever competitive Vayne top. We got to see it banned actually a few series ago. Was a kind of a snap. Someone from the LPL English Discord actually showed us Flandre's solo queue, and it was one of the things he was practicing.
Oh, okay. Shout out the LPL English community Discord. You can join. Join that LPL English community Discord to, profess your Gyos for your favorite teams, just like the fans in the stadium did, as we are on to the Rift for Game 2. Hoping to see AL show some signs of life in this series, and boy, are they looking to get frisky early, as Shun is going to get pushed off of his red buff. He just thinks it's just Tarzan here. Maybe he has an inkling that it's not just Tarzan, and, well, Flandre and Tarzan have, I assume, forced a vertical jungle.
Oh.
All right, Shun got one. He got one, I believe.
He got the mini ones, though, and those are worth very little. Those 8 gold in his pocket there. And I think that's fine. I mean, the wave's now going to be in front of his turret. I think Flandre's going to be perfectly okay with this kind of scenario. It means that Bin shouldn't have as much kill threat. This is the Electrocute Mbessa, which we've been seeing a lot more recently, especially into some of these range matchups. We'll see if Bin can really take advantage of this. As long as Flandre keeps the wave on his side, that is as good as it's going to get, I think. And both junglers are going to be pathing top this game, as we've already seen Tarzan take the Raptors and immediately beeline down to the bot side for his Krugs.
All right. See how those paths play out into this very volatile top side. It's just similar ways to game number 1. Hope and Kael able to get that early shove. Is the power of that Lucian Helio in a lot of aspects here. You can start to see why lanes that we saw really take center stage in 2025, of course being the Xayah Rakan, the constant focal points of that meta, kind of, don't necessarily fit into the mold of the new bottom lanes, because they don't feel like they can compete a lot of 2v2 with some of these bottom lanes, even if Lucian Helio is kind of a new resurging theme as we get further and further into this splits meta. Both junglers though going to cross over. Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, Rakan also, his itemization is just not as strong as it used to be, and some of the pairs we've seen from him just don't really hit the same. Engage has kind of been deprioritized when we've been seeing some of the bot lane matchups, so we'll see. I'm also just a big sucker for seeing duos like this. I remember always watching Elk and On play this combo, and it was one of their most beloved duos. So the first time we got to see Viper and On pull this out, I was just like, I was mostly just stuck in nostalgia bait for the most part. So seeing it again, it does kind of fill me with some good memories of older BLG rosters.
All right, well, good present memories, the way they're able to trade back with Hope and Kael there. Hope expending the barrier to avoid a nice little burst there from Viper, who is going the Conqueror, I might add, which, isn't too odd, but you always assume with AD carries of this sort of kit, the lethal tempo is the best. So, could you provide maybe a bit more clarity why Viper may have decided for the Conqueror this game?
I don't think this is going to be like a one-to-one, but do you ever remember, were you playing Xayah at the time when it was Poke Xayah and you like Q-maxed and you just threw out a bunch of feathers with like Eclipse?
I wasn't playing it, but it ruined me.
Yeah, that I remember. Also, I think in this game when there are so many low-range members like you had talked about from the draft, Conqueror is going to just give a lot more value. If he throws out a Q and he hits 2 or 3 members, suddenly that is almost half of your Conqueror stacks ready to go, and then feathers are going to be let to rip. You're going to just completely tear apart this front line. But right now what I'm kind of looking for is how fast are we going to see junglers hit level 6 here, and how much of this Lee top lane is going to matter, right? How much more can we see from Flandre squeeze? Because we saw in game number 1 between these two that AL and BLG, AL were really good at the offset to start, but as the game kind of went on, we got to see BLG really take advantage of some of these matchups, and especially the way that they were able to incorporate Shun in the top side.
Looking mid lane, this is a matchup that Knight is certainly doing well in, as he forced Shanks to stay to try and catch one of his waves under turret. He gets chunked out, he loses out on the CS lead, now he's forced to back without TP. And what does BLG do right off the back of that? On and Shun teaming on up, looking to hunt and just, you know.
Oh, he got it!
Tarzan. Oh my god, he
His
took it.
jungle pet got
it
it!
was just a harass. Oh wow, that's actually so feels bad, man, for Tarzan. Oh man.
Oh, I can't wait till when we get rid of jungle pets next season, man. I'm just calling it. I think we're gonna get rid of this this kind of thing. It's been nice to have, but
need that for later.
there was a famous, I say famous, it was a very fun clip from Rafa when they first introduced jungle pets, where he was playing Ezreal jungle, and this was the some of the first games on the patch that we had or on this new season that we had played, and he stole a dragon from across the map because his jungle pet jumped all the way over to the dragon and stole it.
Two-shot barrage.
Yeah, it was so funny. He like slow-moed it. It's somewhere on his Twitter. It is one of the funniest plays, and I was there for it. It was great.
Whoa!
Oh,
flash
boy.
stun. There's the public execution. Hey, Hulk, remember your Vayne top? Bye-bye.
Yep, that's exactly what I was worried for. Level 6 came through for Bin. They just showed up. Immediate flash.
They're trying to recollapse onto Knight, but he flashes out of the taunt here from Shanks. Bin has walked all the way down here, but now he sees there's no more play to be had. We've avoided the AL circumventing of our mid laner, but Shun still wants to battle. Charges forward with the stun. Great entrance. Naka comes across from On. Knight gonna drop Timbers on out here. Doesn't have a ton of damage. The Timbers is throwing hands, and Shanks gets the main brunt of that damage, and he's once again pretty low HP, having to catch a wave that is not gonna be very fun to try and collect.
Pantheon eats low-range champions like Galio alive, so I think Shanks needs to be a little bit respectful, especially we're talking about the setup there with Rakan and Annie in the area. All that to say, they got the kill, and that is the only reason that Shun has a gold lead right now. Tarzan has been farming a storm right now with stealing those Raptors, taking some more camps. He's going to hit level 6 first here. It's not going to matter as we see Shun, who is about to tick over to that ultimate point as well. We got a replay of this. Just good vision denial. They did not know that Shun was going to be here. I'm actually surprised that Shun went for the flash, but maybe saying, if Flandre takes one step back, we are not going to have the same opportunity to find for ourselves.
Whoa! Featherstorm, I was waiting on the Blade Caller, but nonetheless, Viper, with the help of On, gets the better of Hope there. That's triple summoner out from the AL bottom lane to make sure that their AD carry survives.
Typically, I would be excited to see Tarzan come down to this lane, but with Hope having no resources right now, it is a very tough ask. Maybe they use the Nocturnal to dissuade a potential dive going on, but thanks to some wards that AL have, they'll see that Viper and On are looking for a recall instead of just trying to find anything. Seems like we're just going to get resets in, and it's a 600 gold lead here for BLG. It's not the end of the world, especially, again, if AL can get to a mid-game start, if we're going to be looking for Dragon, but that doesn't seem like it's the priority. We're going to move to Grubs instead and trying to augment this late game or side lane Vayne, who's already down a little bit of gold.
So Tarzan battling the three Musketeers at the top river early. He'll be able to pick up this first grub pretty easily. Shun off your screen is currently on his Krugs, moving on to his red buff, and well, it doesn't look like any indication he's going to spot this out. The Scrying Orb going to be used against him to spot his clear. Shun is going to ward over the wall, but it's too little too late. So Tarzan, who's like you mentioned been a farming maniac, farms himself some grubs, and it's as good of a denial as it is for that Vayne split-pushing top game plan that they have. But now, Ulk, we got to approach the very obvious conversation this jungle matchup has in any game scenario. Paranoia is up. Grand Starfall is up. The game revolves around these two ultimates now.
No lanes to play for, and funnily enough, when Shun puts that ward down, I think it gives everybody on AL a little bit of like, oh, we can breathe now. I now know where the enemy jungle is. We had some wards on bottom side, but when he puts down that ward, they know, okay, on Knight, they're in mid. We see Viper, we see Bin. we now know that we can play a little bit more up. We don't have to be worried of Pantheon showing up in a lane that maybe we weren't expecting. And with 3 grubs, that is going to feel nice. If they can get some turret plates, this gold lead that BLG have is going to dissipate. I really want to see them look for one of these other lanes, but I think until Flandre finishes his first item, we're probably not going to be seeing a ton of that. So for as much as BLG kind of want to keep hammering away at some of these leads, unless we get some more objective fights, we're probably going to have a much quieter mid-game here.
And who do we feel like that might benefit most? You talk about Flandre, who I think is a prime suspect to try and kind of catch up a bit, get those early items down. I also think, you know, it serves well into champions like Viper, who won't really get to punch as hard as a first item Lucian would, but certainly will sort of outscale the low-range burst bottom lane that AL have currently on the map.
We're going to start Dragon. C-Ping's coming out with Shanks having to probably recall and teleport back in. I like this attempt here from BLG. They didn't walk into the pit, so they're not spotted going into this. You can see how much red vision is on this river right now. I hope the observers kind of pull back the vision. The Phaelites are finally going to spot this. Tarzan is in the area. This might be a get a dragon and maybe try to peel out as Bilibili Gaming.
All right. Lights likely soon to go out. Pulling comes down first. Nope, Tarzan not going to pull the trigger. Shun, with that Pantheon Q smite, is enough to assuage any sort of engage. So BLG will take the scaling win con of the first dragon. They're looking like they want to scrap a little bit here around these wards. Tarzan and Kael getting up in the face of On, trying to make sure there's no vision here. It's a disrespectful ignite there from On as well. Granted to stock up. Kael luckily not going to get rooted by that blade collar.
So I'm kind of struggling here right now, Slayer, because the dragon is fine to give up as AL. I think posturing around it is a little less intense for me.
Whoa.
Right now, Bin.
Ah, there's the Grand Starfall. I was wondering. Oh, good condemn timing there from Flandre.
Yeah.
We should get out with this. Final hour, constant tumble.
Shun has flash.
Shun not going to commit that flash. Blastcone gets Flandre out, so good job surviving the first gank.
I think it's okay for him to walk back. Yeah, because you see Milio's on his way, Nocturne. What I was going to say about that dragon is the posturing from AL. I actually would have preferred if they just decided Tarzan is going to sit in Tri-Brush or sit in that dot brush for the Phaelite, and then just let Hope and Kael hit this turret with 3 grubs, get them back into the game, and let them start to squeeze some of these plates away so that we can get, you know, maybe a half an item timer, maybe have in a fight where coming up for the next dragon, Lucian has his Navori Flicker Blades already almost done for versus Viper, who right now is only down 300 gold in comparison.
And speaking on Hope in this Lucian, I want to gauge your comfortability scale on the lead that Hope has. Like, how much more do you want to see it expanded? Like, how comfortable are you with the current path of this Lucian that we all know is going to spike really hard in this mid game and then kind of fall out of the wayside compared to the Xayah later?
I'm okay with it. You know, like we're talking about it in a way that for Xayah, a lot of her strength comes in like area denial in a similar way that we would talk about something like Xayah, or not Xayah, like Orianna. So
right.
As long as we hit the 2 and 3 item spike generally on time, I like Lucian because he has so much burst in his kit. Just Light Slinger passive, your W plus the ultimate, I think is a really strong combo, especially if we're talking about 80 carries fighting on mid. But it's the reliability of a Xayah, especially in the context of what AL are showing in this draft.
Right. And being able to deny that Nocturne jump in, safety of a Galio hero's entrance, a Galio taunt.
Exactly.
Justice punch, stuff like that. And a player of Viper's caliber, we know that he will always be ready for whatever AL throw at him.
Of course.
And it is important. I mean, of course. Come on. We weren't going to stop that train from leaving the station with me on the cast here. Nonetheless, we have shifted our bottom lanes over towards the mid lane, and we are still yet to have Tarzan click R, which is, you know, I don't think it's necessarily odd for the game state he's played in, but is always odd when you talk about having a Nocturne on the map and how critical using that spell is early and often to try and get your team ahead. Avid
LOL esports enjoyers will know typical broadcast saying is if you have a Pantheon, especially if you have a Nocturne, the first ultimate really dictates how the game is going to go.
A staple.
But if you never use it, that first time potential is always up. It's always up for the whole game,
The
right?
loophole.
Yeah, if you just always have it, it's the Chekhov's gun of the jungle.
All right,
It's going to come in the third act.
It better be a pretty bombastic third act for Tarzan then, because definitely would like to see him try and punish these side lanes that are really starting to break out here. And we highlighted how, especially with the Xayah play we talked about earlier, Mr. Knight should be the prime target because it is slim pickings for the Nocturne outside of Knight. So going to get to test one of the best that the world has to offer out of the mid lane in side laning, which didn't necessarily plague Knight all of, last year and early on this year, but boy, did it plague a lot of our LPL mid laners.
He's playing Annie. He'll be fine. He's just going to be chilling. He's got Malignance. He'll be good too as well. Well, another game here, Slayer. Given Rift Herald. Uncharacteristically a low kill game. I say uncharacteristically when I'm talking about BLG. And with these lane assignments especially, I think we are not still going to see very much happening here. It is going to be AL, 3 grubs, Herald as well. Let's open up a lead. Okay.
For Paranoia, Tarzan's going after Knight. He flashes but throws the stun on Flandre as he goes out here. He's going to come back in and secure the Herald. He's going to need a public execution to the face. Breath of Light will allow Tarzan to flash, but Shun follows him, picks up the kill as Bin gets caught in a huge hit and justice punch from Shanks. Hope able to trade back out. Knight trying to re-enter this fight on the top side, holding onto the stun as they jump on top of Shanks and get rid of him fast. Another kill on the board here for BLG as Hope will try and dash out with Kael. AL split on both sides of BLG. They're going to hunt for Flandre. Does he get the TP out before the stun comes? No! Knight denies it and lets Tibbers do his dirty work. Viper grabs the kill, and BLG get back to the killing ways we know them for.
And you know what? I think it got even worse there because when Hope walks over to the Rift Herald, he does not pick it up. It times out. BLG just got so many kills, and they get the teleport, and they just won. I think they just won the game. I know it's only 16.5 minutes, but that is like a dagger in the heart. AL put so many resources in that top lane play, and nothing goes for them. I thought it was going to be an Act 3 ultimate. It's looking like the whole play is done.
It looks like we're not having an Act 3. we're not going to get to that point.
This is a High School Musical.
There's no Act 3 in store. There is a second act of Dragon, though, being taken here by Shun, as BLG will keep up their classic tempo. No Paranoia in sight here for Tarzan, no vision to even try and get into the pit, so it is that reverse of Game 1 where AL had the 30 grubs. They have the Herald. Well, I mean, they took the Herald, I guess. But BLG, being in the lead and having the first 2 Dragons is always a good game plan. And here comes the AL game plan we marked. Knight has to know this is coming. Doesn't get the stun down. Tarzan's going to spell shield it well, and Shanks will grab that kill. A kill on the board here for AL nonetheless. That was a flash out of Kael.
Okay. I mean, set it in draft. When you're playing Nocturne versus Annie, that is a walk-in money bag. Here's that first ultimate. They go immediately on to Knight, and the play is split. Tarzan's on one side. Hope is nowhere near this play. A smite from Tarzan gets this. Now I'm just looking at the Herald this entire time. That eye is looking around. He's like, who's picking me up? Who's going to pick me up? Where's my Uber jobber? I can't get anybody. Can someone take me? The whole fight is split. This is another one from AL where I think the backline and the people who are supposed to deal damage are not in the perfect position. Maybe Tarzan going a little too fast. He dashes. It times out at the very last moment. If I'm Hope, I'm calling a ref. I'm saying I'm literally touching it. And it's still on the game. It's still on the floor there.
Pause.
Yeah.
Ref. Yeah, immediately. Just how things have been going lately for AL. How things have lately been going here for Hope as he drops a culling in for very marginal damage there onto On. Tarzan shading back over towards Bin. Paranoia up in about 10 seconds, but a hard target to gauge jumping on top of. And Bin's going to take it to Flandre instead. Final hour comes out for the invis. Good flash condemn. Gets Bin off of him as Knight does TP in. Paranoia now coming out here as we shift back up further upriver. We find Shun completely caught here. Paranoia jump on top of Bin.
Okay.
Tarzan never used the second half, so Bin's going to flash. Timbers comes down to stun out Tarzan. Flandre still low, but Shanks is flashing forward for the taunt. Knight wants to get the kill onto Flandre, but the Breath of Light healing from Melio. Hope picks up the kill onto Knight. AL starting to slug some shots back into BLG now.
All right, stupid caster. Never say the game's over, apparently. Who needs a Herald? Herald's dumb anyway. It's a topside objective. What have we learned? Nothing, apparently. They try to make this play. Maybe Flandre, maybe the whole point of playing range tops like this is actually to just have a global taunt on you at all times. They try to make this play, and look, similar to some of the hesitations we had around AL and some of their team fighting, here, look at where Viper is. Not able to right-click at all. He can't click on anyone in this fight, while AL are collapsing, kind of sending in all the Avengers. A last-minute Melio ult gives him enough HP to survive that. Tibbers from hitting him and taking him down there. So this is the lead that Hope needs to run away with. 1,500 gold up over Viper, finishing getting close to what is an Infinity Edge third here. And for as much attention as BLG have put to try to get Bin in advantage, I think right now, the thing that BLG are going to be looking for is this dragon stacking that is still in their favor.
Mountain Soul always heals a lot of ailments when staring down a burst-oriented team, as you highlighted. Hope being the primary gold benefactor, playing the burst style. Getting that Mountain Soul very clear at WinCon here, but BLG are still going to try and settle back into their side lanes. Still feel like Bin is pretty hard for either one of these solo lanes to answer, and I do think that is a problem that if AL want to keep this train moving right in the right direction, Tarzan has got to continue to find ways to address.
So side lanes has been kind of where AL have found success. They got the money bag that is Knight. They went bot lane. They cashed out on the money bag that is Shun. There's no shutdowns in the game, so it's not like we're going to be playing like bounty boards and going around picking up gold. But the game's even, and I think that is a good spot for AL to be in. I'm kind of just looking at this next dragon. I'm looking at summoner spells. They're a little bit more limited here for anyone's legend, but you're hitting hopefully 2 items with this Essence Reaver going to be completed soon here for Flandre. I think we're just trying to get these last couple plates on this bottom lane turret.
Just trying to use that bot wave as a way to walk all of AL up. Shanks has maybe found a pick here on, but Rakan particularly slippery, especially with teammates around. So we'll just be pushed off that vision line. They do have the Scuttle Crab vision helping them out, but outside of that, BLG, this river is pretty lit up with blue orbs for the first time.
Doing good. Hope's going to play in mid, and then they can just walk into Fog. So BLG, you have to walk as 5. When you have an anti-team comp, you got to do it like this.
Oh, here's the classic BLG TP flank, though. Coming on in is going to be Bin with the 30% HP shield. They are going to try and turn on to him. The public execution is going to get spell shielded. The fear lands instead. Clutch charm from On. Grabs 4 members. Viper takes down Tarzan and allows Bin to drop with some grace. Featherstorm comes back out. A Blade Caller needs to come through for Viper, and he rips Shanks to shreds with it. Viper going absolutely crazy, but he can't find the clutch kills because Hope is running amok with the double marksman power. AL slam home an ace.
Flandre and Hope, we hold hands in the red side jungle, and we are going to win this team fight for anyone's legend. All of the ministrations we had about this Vayne top for him, it is coming up clutch in these team fights. In a small corridor, I would say 9 out of 10 times, you are going to lose versus a Rakan, a Xayah, and an Annie. But AL are able to play this, and this TP from Bin is just way too deep. He gets on the other side of Tarzan, but already, look at where the damage dealers are. Knight, Viper, nowhere nearby. No ability to deal damage in this fight. And now we're fighting into a chokehold where Hope and Flandre can just let loose another fantastic taunt coming through from Shanks. Viper is going to flash to try to catch Flandre, but he dashes into the wall to avoid the Blade Caller. A massive play for Flandre, and one that is much needed in a series where AL have really been kind of missing.
Some positive energy, some smiles in the AL coaching staff. That's good to see. Haven't seen a lot of that so far this split. Nonetheless, AL has certainly stemmed the bleeding, but this game is still anyone's to really take here with how BLG's comp can really start rounding into form as this game goes on. It's only a 2K gold lead. BLG still have the dragon stacking in their favor, and now we have Baron on the map, where both teams are going to look to try and really grapple hold of this game too.
And they'll be looking to maybe open up a play on mid. It is all about grabbing these last couple of plays, going on to Hope.
Okay, knock-up lands, barrier out, Blade Caller through for Viper, Breath of Life needs to come out. Hope is out of this fight as Shanks tries to re-engage on the other side. Phase Rush is going to get him out to safety nonetheless. But Hope starting to tread on some deeper water here with the limits of his Lucian.
They just going to go for Baron? I mean, Flandre, they're probably just going to try to get his TP. They don't really care about giving up this mid-tier 1 right now. Vane's going to join now, and this needs to be able to... Wait, Hope is on red buff!
Oh my god, Hope is nowhere near this play. It's a 5v4 here for BLG. I don't know if they
They're
necessarily
off.
realize it, though. Wow, what a gamble there.
They got the flash, but they got the teleport, but still, they're giving up a mid-tier 1. BLG, that's desperate. That is desperation if I've ever seen it. You got a single summoner spell out of it, but you're giving gold still over, and now the map geographically has kind of changed for them. They have the outer turrets as BLG, but giving up that inner makes it a little bit easier for them to spread their influence, get vision down, and especially set up for this dragon. It is really important now that BLG try to find answers. After the first couple of plays, we have not revisited trying to kill Flandre, who now Experimental Hexplate, Essence Reaver, and now even a QSS. So locking him down is going to be nigh impossible unless we layer crowd control.
Really puts a lot of pressure on Kael to keep up with these really good Breath of Life ultimates. Light's going out here as we jump on top of Knight. Can he get out of the hero's entrance? No, he gets knocked up. The fear lands. Hope can't step up, get the damage. Shanks does it instead. Shoot with the Ancient Assault, trying to block all the damage out to buy space here for Viper, but he can't get these feathers down.
Oh.
Bin whiffs the public execution. The Feather Storm comes out, but Bin, he just flashes right on top of the Lucian. Finds that first kill. Viper gonna try and take down Tarzan, but he gets out to safety. And Shanks, with the Justice Punch of victory, gets Flandre another double kill. AL onto the Baron.
Let's go and move it on over to the Baron. AL, we were saying, hey, maybe this BLG composition has some legs to stand on, but this top matchup has got zero sauce right now. Bin, that ultimate missing, and then trying to overforce. BLG, I get why you want to look for something, why you want to try to burst someone out with this shotgun, but if the blunderbuss misses, we gotta reload. We cannot just try to kind of break them over the head with the handle of the gun instead. Like, look at all this damage. Knight is dead. This is where I think Viper could potentially turn a team fight, but the weaving of spells in and out. And this was the play.
Oh, he failed
just
the dash.
Barely. Doesn't get to land it. He flashes in. You find Hope. Awesome. But we got a double marksman composition. And Flandre has really started to come into his own on this game. He has been one of the most suspect laners, especially when we're talking about top lane, but his impact in this game so far has been felt. I think him and Hope have really came into their own and are bringing AL to the brink of winning game number 2.
They're up a fat chunk of gold to the tune of 5,000. They are aptly positioned to even out the Drake stacking. BLG, it looks like, yeah, they're just going to give up structures they really can't cover. Maybe trying to buy time for Bin here. Force somebody on AL to go top side to answer him. Because he should be able to get this tier 2 for free if nobody really comes batting towards the top side. BLG, it looks like they're maybe willing to just trade what they feel like is a bot tier 2. They're going to lose nonetheless. But if Knight gets caught, he's going to turn for the Timbers. Immediate dash from Hope, Breath of Life. Tarzan goes in under the tier 2 turret, but BLG were waiting for him. Knight blows him up. Bin, though, TP's in, gets condemned, gets stunned up, and trades his life right back as Flandre starting to glide here. Dash after dash, tumble after tumble, looking to find Viper. Doesn't get the big critical shot here. But Viper still has to use the Feather Storm. It shakes off to the side, threatens Viper even further. Blade Color will get him out, but On we can't say the same about.
Wow, and I think in a completely unexpected turn of events, AL now 6,500 gold up and looking incredible. Hope and Flandre together have been unstoppable. Hope,
Viper,
all right,
oh,
wonderful.
Blade Color! He gets 2 for the price of 1. AL's bottom laner completely done for. Flandre is going to drop to Shun now. It's Viper's time to shine. The closer for Bilibili Gaming just gave them a huge lifeline in game 2. Ace BLG.
No way, man! Now it is going to be a Mount Soul point here for BLG. I don't know if this necessarily gets them out of dodge, but definitely, like we were saying, gives them breathing room here in this game. What the? I need a replay of that. I just need to see a replay because Bin is basically overforcing this game and creating so many issues for his team. There's another
Tarzan
one.
flash.
Gets the flash out from Tarzan, and we get some mid plates.
It was such a cool sequence, Ulk, but there were so many throws on that bot lane, right? Like,
Dude, I just saw Hope dash forward and flash back out.
But like even like the Tarzan dive, I get the yeah. Let's go through this because it was like, all right, Tarzan's gonna throw, and then Bin's like, hold on a minute, watch what I do here.
So this is good. This is exactly what you want to do as Lucian Melio.
Why?
He's just trying to kill Annie. I told you, Annie is a walking money bag as Nocturne. This was really well set up, I think, from AL. Just perfectly sequenced when we're talking about crowd control. And then Viper's trying what he can, but low range means that Lucian and him are fighting at the same time. We didn't even get to see the cool throw, man. We didn't even get to see the cool play. I think the Observer team, we're doing a lot of BLG sided. You know, like why didn't we just show that last cool one underneath the turret?
I mean, I was willing to go to bat for them because I thought they had the the psychic feeling that a play was coming, but yeah, they kind of just pulled out of that thing prematurely.
They get a turn. Send us back to the replay. This is going to be a one rare time we're asking Observers to send us back into a replay here.
Yeah, that rarely
There's
happens.
no objectives. Like, Baron doesn't spawn for another 2 minutes. Dragon's not up for a 3:30. All right. We're going to have to just live in the present now, Slayer. We're just going to have to pretend like that play happened. Well, not pretend, it did. And just move on with our lives, which kind of feels sad, but okay. This game is weird, man. This gold graph is going to be terrible.
Regardless who wins, for sure, it's going to have some dips and quick ascents nonetheless. I kind of want to approach some of these items, maybe most importantly, for BLG. I want to see if Viper can get this 4th item done so he can get over to 100% crit chance on the Xayah, be that late game threat that they really need. Also, Shun having the GA maybe allows BLG to play a bit more proactive on the front line.
Tarzan.
Oh, Tarzan. All right,
Good
let's
use
go
of the
out.
ultimate. What?
Go right back in. He's trying to set up the hero's entrance. He's going to hit on to Shun. He has the GA. Flandre in the final hour. Tries to go after Viper. Exhaust lands on top of him as the Feather Storm comes out as well. Shanks into the stasis. Flandre can't walk up because that Blade Caller was going to snag him. Goes into the invis, but it won't matter. Viper chops him down into bits and pieces. Viper is so locked in right now for BLG.
Okay, but what can we get from that play? That was a flash from Galio and merely a kill. Maybe it gives them time on the map. They're not even going to have any space to set up around the Baron that's coming up in a minute. It's gold going over to BLG, but I don't think it changes the temperature of this game right now. It was a good pick. We played in one of these really small chokes, and the setup is good. The ultimate from Tarzan stops BLG from being able to find anything. The Galio in a choke is even better to try to force more out of BLG. But Flandre here on the side, exhaust is massive. The Feather Storm, like you're mentioning, stops, and look again, no ability for AL to deal damage. He walks into the Blade Caller,
He knows he
and then he
can't.
QSS's and he gets knocked up anyway. Viper and on, played that fantastically. But we need to see more. I need to see more from BLG if they're going to close this series out into a fashion. We need to see more fights like that, and the Baron is the perfect place for this. And guess what? Bin, he has the teleport, and it's the upgraded teleport from his top lane role quest.
We've now got Viper done with that LDR. He's 100% crit chance. He will rip through no matter who steps in front of him if they do not CC chain him. So AL, I agree. Temperature's still the same, but I see some shifts because it's really clear to me now that AL have to find a way to threaten Viper, especially knowing that, this makeshift front line for BLG has a bit more resistance to them. Shun without that GA, though, maybe alleviates that a bit, is, man, Bin really thought he was dead there.
Look, if they collapse onto him, that's very quickly AL that can just move into Baron afterwards. So a respectful TP and very expensive for BLG. The game is equal. And what did we say from the draft here, Slayer? AL, they have a composition that can work, that can really shred in team fights, but the minute it goes bad, the game's over. And this is now where we get to that point. 30 seconds. Baron's no longer an option. We're going for the soul.
This is always a favorable spot to be in if you're BLG, right? Because you can gamble to say, oh yeah, AL, we'll give you that, second Drake. We're going to take a Baron. Oh, you want to threaten the Baron at all, which AL should never walk towards? We'll take a Mountain Soul. So, despite the fact that you called it out well, Bin does expend that valuable TP, so the side lane threat isn't as heavy. This setup for BLG is really pristine towards the Drake side.
I like this for AL. I like the options that we have here. I mean, no teleport for Bin means that he just doesn't have a bigger health bar to play with, and we've seen multiple times, especially with the exhaust now. Viper is already starting this.
Flandre, final hour, lights go out. Who does Tarzan want to pick off here? Flash from Bin, gets himself out of a taunt. BLG come off of this dragon.
Look at
Are we
Viper.
really just going to 50-50 this? How many engage tools do AL really have left to rely on? There's no paranoia. How does this Galio get in? Are we really
Look
just
at
going to flip
Viper.
this for Mountain Soul? Can Shun take it? Viper somehow gets it. BLG with Mountain Soul. And now they're looking to make it AL's problem. Taunt won't land for Shanks. He's got to Justice punch his way out of the bottom lane river. But BLG are still hunting.
I was telling the fans, look at Viper. He is placing so many feathers. And the damage there alongside Shun, they're just able to take that objective. One ward from BLG will spot AL as they move into topside river, but it feels like they are trapped. It feels like they're being corralled away from the rest of the rift here. BLG, they need one pick, and similarly here for AL, they're waiting for some cooldowns. All summoner spells are up.
Oh, okay, Shun jumps on Hope, but he dashes out to safety. Shun having to flash, fearing the fear there from Tarzan. They've got the wave up, though. They're just going to go after the mid-tier 2, but now they're getting entrapped. Shun has been taken very, very low. BLG still grouped up. It's so hard for AL to ever jump them without Tarzan's confident paranoia forward, but they have the first inside track over to Baron nonetheless.
Calling is up for Hope. The only flash that's missing here for AL is off of Shanks. No engage possibility for Bin or Shun with that summoner spell. Control of the Baron. It is half health right now. Flandre needs to clutch up.
On, gonna go for a big charm,
He's
but
gone.
he gets caught by a great taunt there from Shanks. Blade Caller gonna land on to Flandre, QSSs and flashes back out. Baron still not secure.
Tarzan!
The Bowie Execution's gonna grab Tarzan, has to flash out of the pit. Justice Punch, heroic entrance comes down. The Baron's at 3.5k, but Tarzan, he can't get into this pit to take it. So Shun's gonna step up and grab Baron as Knight absolutely deletes the Emilio off the face of the map. And Viper gets the reign supreme, flashing after Hope, sending him into a GA that will only delay the inevitable downfall of anyone's legend.
Goodbye, Flandre, and there's even Shun to match.
It.
Yep, let's go. Baron, Mountain Soul, and it came down to 2 fights around these big objectives. AL crumble as they try to finish this one out with BLG moving to 2-0.
A back and forth affair, a game I would markedly say in past splits, this BLG roster always loses. This AL team always wins, but it's 2026, the year of BLG.
Oh, that's gonna sting so much. And
Bad.
look, high stakes, high volatility when you're gonna play double marksman, and a series now where I think multiple times we got to see Tarzan not feel comfortable up against Shun. So that's going to be one that review is going to be tough. And I think more importantly here for AL, moving to 2-3, and I think losing against some of the bigger names here in this group, Top Esports, JDG, BLG, it's looking more and more likely that AL might be a team that is looking on the outside of that top 4 bubble.
Well, especially all because the other teams you haven't listed, we all feel like, for the most part, are massively improved compared to their Split 1 counterparts, right? IG, you know, we just saw them get 2-0'd nonetheless, but we feel like Breathe is one of the better top laners. We've been impressed by Jachi and Mako coming back into this team. IG are stronger than I would say their Split 1 counterparts are.
Sure.
Maybe Weibo. Maybe not Weibo.
Maybe not Weibo.
I think we leave Weibo out of that convo. I don't really like talking positively about Weibo after what they did to my boy Arha. But then we have a team like NIP, who I would wager their bottom lane in Awesome and Zhuo are playing pretty darn well and allowing them to be up to such a high mark. So my point being here is outside of our, prototypical teams we expect to challenge AL, even when they're pretty well strengthened, the rest of the field is tougher than it would have been in most splits of past.
Also want to note that AL so far here in this split have not gone to Game 3 in any of their series so far.
Wow.
All 5 now, 2-0s in one other direction. So, man, this was a very risky game, and all of the criticisms we had for BLG in the pre-show, feels like we saw that here. Been over-forcing a lot of the times, especially here on this Mbessa. I remember his Renekton game that we got to see in that series versus IG, where he dashes into Jachi and then literally dies on the spot immediately versus the Yunara. We got to see it on this Mbessa where he didn't get a comfortable enough lead, And when Bin isn't far enough ahead, I think we see BLG definitely start to struggle.
But what was the main reason the BLG were able to overcome some of those Bin struggles? It's their closer, and I'm going to start trademarking it. I'm going to run with it.
All
He's
right.
my player of the game. He's showing out whenever I'm on the cast. The Ash game against Weibo, he closes out, and I will not hear any other argument. Viper is the reason the BLG saved this game. Come on.
I mean, he got the soul. I can't deny that. I can't take that away from you. He took the soul. I will take credit in that at the entire time. I'm like, just look at Viper. Just look at Viper. He does the thing.
Right.
He takes the soul. Yeah. But all right. That was, for me, coming into the season anyway, I think that this team was purpose-built to do well at internationals, right? And my bar for BLG has always been, this year anyway, if you are not winning 2 out of the 3 domestic finals,
I remember this.
I think that, alongside some of the international success, would deem this roster a failure. Now, we're only in the midway of the split, so a lot of things can change. We saw JDG go into last split playoffs and really kind of level up, making it to the finals. We saw AL obviously continue to take a step down as we see them lose series after series. But the only thing that's really stayed the same right now is that BLG is staying on top, and we've got a surging top esports. That's going to be a matchup at the end of the season that I think we're looking at.
Hey, Viper. Nice damage, man. I'm done. I'm done. I promise. No. Yeah, I'm a big fan of a lot of your takes, Alk. But I really liked that,
Wonderful.
2 out of 3.
Me too.
International performance. That one really stuck with me. And it is interesting. It will be an interesting conversation to have, knowing that they, won the first domestic title, and then they win the international, but it is first stand. So it will be a very fun convo if BLG necessarily don't live up to the high of their start internationally and domestically. Like, how much do we really value, like, the first stand win? But right now, we're not going to have those convos because, again, the point I want to hit home is it feels like to me BLG in this iteration are winning games that they would always lose last split.
Yeah, I would say that's like somewhat fair. I think the big difference is that Bin just looks night and day in comparison to last year. Like Bin,
oh totally.
Bin for a large portion of the year honestly wasn't even, to me, like top 3 for some of the splits. I remember he got an all-pro like second team in split number 3 that I was just like, this guy's done nothing all split. This guy's not. And I think a lot of that comes from the confidence. He's, to me, very clearly a confidence player. I mean, I remember the semifinals where he comes out versus Weibo and he does the jacket toss versus Breathe and completely aura farms him in front of everybody at that semifinals. And losing World Finals might have done a number. I've said this before. I think losing the World Finals did a number on this team. And then losing Shun at the same time brought the vibes down. And so, very clearly a confidence player. We've seen it throughout the year so far that as long as BLG play to top side and make sure that Bin is happy, the game is fairly simple to play when you have Knight and Viper with On.
And then, of course, if we're, comparing differences to last year, going from a jungle carousel to having, Shun back in here. Obviously, his play has been, amazing, exceptional at a lot of these points, but it doesn't rarely get stated how valuable it just is to have the same guy in the building, especially a guy that brings such as good energy as Shun, right? Compared to that rotating carousel of junglers that BLG put themselves through, by the way. It's not, we're not pretending like they were forced to do that. They were very much so the reason. But that also plays a factor into how this team has been able to excel so much. Alk, I know you were tempering my Viper glaze. It definitely always needs to happen, but
It was worth it.
He's the player of the game, right? Like, I know we're not here to show it. Player of the game, right? Right.
I 100% am down with that. I think he played a really, really strong game. Damn, I just feel so bad. Like, Hope, man. I don't know how to feel, man. So many big games that I think he has been a strong reason why this team hasn't been able to kind of show up.
Yes.
And another one where a few too many mistakes, and that is that is what this composition does kind of come with in terms of consequences, right? We saw a huge mid-game spike for AL. They come back, they go up to 6,000 gold. That death under the inhibitor turret kind of feels like the start of the end for AL. Triple kill going over to Shun. They then go over to the Dragon, then they move over. They're able to grab the Baron. The game kind of starts to get out of hand. Then the play on the bottom side jungle where Flandre gets caught out. It's those small moments and that lack of precision that is going to consistently bring AL down. And we'll see how the season rocks out. There's still a lot of games here to play, and we're only midway through the split. So anything is really possible, but it is not looking good right now for AL.
And not to kind of dogpile on that last point you had, but if we look up the updated standings, definitely reflects how not good it is currently looking here for anyone's Legend. As we look to close our day out, AL are currently slated in 6th place of Group Ascend, with JDG, funnily enough, next to them at 5th. It's still so cool to see how, last time I'll harp on it all, how even if it is really starkly different, these Group Ascend standings are compared to where we finished in Split 1.
I mean, Top Esports just isn't trash anymore. Like, that's way more fun to watch, honestly. And we have Tien back in the league. We have Breathe back in the league. Split 2 just feels like LPL supercharged. LPL back and ready to come and play. And also Invictus Gaming is kind of fun. I'm a little bit down on IG just because, personally speaking, I'm not a huge fan of Renard. I think he is a little bit limited in some of what we have seen from him.
Fair.
The big wild card in this group, I think, is NIP. Right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know where NIP are really going to end. I am kind of waiting for the reality check. They're did just beat JDG, which we'll talk about in the podcast, which will be filmed live tomorrow, 2 a.m. PST. If anybody's interested, it'll be up on our YouTube as well. But I'm very much interested to see where NIP are going to land and whether or not this success is going to continue. Most importantly, because they have yet to play BLG. And
true.
When that happens, we are going to have a lot of fun. Like, I'm looking at, we're at the end of the show anyway. NIP's next 3 matches are Anyone's Legend, BLG, and Top Esports. If they win 2 out of the 3 of those series, I'm ready to call it. I'm ready to call it. Like, I already said in the podcast last week that if they win this JDG team, if they win versus JDG, we need to start seriously thinking about this team as a contender for top 4, at least regular season-wise.
Right.
And that's going to be doubly true if they do well in any of these 3 upcoming games.
Certainly would be. Yeah, I've already, praised how I feel about Awesome's confident play. They're such a confidence team right now, in my opinion. Awesome's play, Zhuo was really good. The reason that we felt like NIP got promoted up into Split 2 was his play. And then Guwon, I think, has been very fun as well. That Lee Sin game was
They're making me
say
marvelous. Nice things about Hoya, man. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a wild... Listen, it's been a while since we've heard nice things from Hoya out of Aug's mouth. Here's some nice things I'd like to say to a couple very specific individuals. As we look to wind down our show, many of you might recognize a final thank you that we always give out to a couple of very important people. So I would like to say thank you very much to our elite coffee supporters, Aaron Soup and Mong. Their pledged financial contributions help level up the broadcast and give back to the cast and crew who strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. So shout out to you two guys. Hearts to you. We won't have a traditional show tomorrow, of course, but as you heard, Alk Battery, if you'd like to see our 2 faces plastered across your live stream once again, we'll be doing the LPL English podcast. I'll tease a certain I guess, bit or bot lane bypass. Bot lane bypass might be coming back here because we've got some AD carries to talk about. But Alk, any final words you'd like to say before we close out the broadcast, my friend?
I'm looking at a 25 series. I've got a 60% win rate right now, so I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about my choice, about my chances. It would be higher if I didn't vote for Weibo in 3 out of the 4. I said this last night, actually, that Weibo I've played 4 series. The only one I've gotten right is the one where I predicted BLG to 2-0 them. And everything else, I said I wouldn't vote for Weibo again, but I really was feeling the magic after their win versus IG. But that's because I let Xiaohu decide he wants. I just let him hurt me. Before we close out, I'm hearing word that we're done with the interview. So let's show our player the games. Let's see if the LPL broadcast are in line with us. and then we can also see player of the match, and then we can close out the show.
I'm down for it. I'd like to see them reward Mr. Viper. It was interesting, right?
What happens if they don't give it to him?
I mean, I probably,
All right.
don't have to think about it because that's not a reality I live in.
Goal difference at goal difference at end, minus 300. Blew up your Nexus,
crazy,
who cares?
Yeah. Your Nexus win, goodbye. I think I win here. It's cool to see them reward Viper. Sometimes we feel like player of the games can be decently stat-driven, but glad to recognize that, hey, the stats aren't necessarily the prettiest in all aspects, but the impact he has in that comeback could not be overstated.
40% damage share almost. 37 is the real number, but nearly 40. Oh, and it's split votes. So 5,
Nice.
2 mid lane votes, and a jungle vote. Well, definitely wasn't going top lane. So,
Interesting.
this Shun one is kind of interesting. I mean, he made that cool play onto Vayne at level 5, which was neat. I don't think Knight played a particularly great Annie game. And
I don't think so either.
that I think rounds out some of the narratives we had coming into the game or into the series. We're talking about like Knight not necessarily being the flashiest player, but by and far away the most consistent player on this team. All right, give me a player of the series. Who do we actually didn't even think. Oh, all right.
Good pick.
I'll take it.
Yeah. All right.
Not bad.
Player of the match, of course, was the player of the game of Game 1 on the Jarvan, and as
Yeah.
you saw, I guess got a vote for player of the game, and yeah, I think this is the right call.
I think
would
it
say
should have
this
been
is the right
Viper. I think Viper's Ezreal was kind of sexy, and
well,
then,
I agree.
Then
with
the
that
Zy- I know. I think Shun may have accidentally robbed his 80 carry of a player of the series, but not our problem anymore. All right, Slayer, we can
Nope.
close out the show. We can get you to work.
one. Yes. Nonetheless, guys, that will do it for LPL English as we do close out another week. We will be off the air except for our podcast tomorrow. We'll see you guys back, I guess, Wednesday for more games, more action, of course, here at LPL English. Until then, take care and have fun, everybody.